Hey community, welcome to our sermon podcast for wanderers, seekers, and thinkers, for deconstructing and reconstructing. This is a feed of Open Door Church, a faith community focused on God's love and grace, a progressive church built around action, community, and people. Enjoy this week's message and check back often as we're posting new content every week. We have been going through a series on, kind of teaching, but more kind of learning. And the whole sort of push here is thinking about learning in a different way. And also that we are forever learners, and we are also, in that vein, forever teachers. And we've been thinking about it a little bit as what we would call, what we might refer to from one of my professors in my master's work, Mary Elizabeth Moore, who referred to teaching as a sacramental act. And the whole driving force is to reframe the way that we see the world around us, and to do that through the process of teaching. And so we've looked at some different educators throughout the series, including Paulo Freire, and who sort of coined the term critical pedagogy, and has 60 years of work based 50 years of work based off of his stuff, which is phenomenal, and he sort of paved the way. But all of it is set in context, and this is a big piece, that when we look at the story of Jesus and when we talk about education and learning and the way that we think about the world around us, he sets everything in context, saying that either you are present in the world around you and aware of the structures of power and the situations of life of your neighbor and yourself, and your educational journey either reinforces what you know, or it unravels the systems around you. And it can't be neutral. All of these educators are pretty certain on this, and it's a reframing, because we think about education as this, like, I'm going to give you a book of knowledge, you're going to retain it and memorize it and mark it, and then we're going to write an exam, and you're going to repeat what you have heard, and all of this is backwards in the way that they teach and the way that they educate. And so using the things that we know and the life around us to learn and to grow and to develop is to say that we see and learn through these situations in life, through the world around us. In doing that, so this is where we make a minor shift, because many of those educators have nothing to do with religion at all. But we learn about our faith, we learn about God, we see the world through the life and teaching of Jesus, and all of that leads into a place of growing in our faith, not just learning about the world. And so Mary Elizabeth Moore does this really well in pulling together the work of these teachers and bringing together the world of sacrament, the mystery, which literally comes from the word mystery, the mystery of God in the world around us. And when we combine these two things, we see the world differently, and we learn differently, and we see Jesus working through life and through people. And so we did a little bit on parables, the way Jesus just pulls something out of the air, looking at the weeds along the path, or looking at the mustard seed, or looking at a child that approaches him. And in each case, he's pulling and drawing just from life and saying, let me tell you about the kingdom of God through this moment, through this experience, through this individual. And so that's what we've been sort of trying to do throughout this journey. One of the pieces that I want to come back to today, because I'm kind of closing us here today, but one of the pieces I want to come back to today is Freire's notion that the statement is that every true word lends itself to both reflection and action. And if you're focused on reflection out of the word only, then what you end up with is words that don't have teeth, that don't have power, that don't transform the world. And if you're focused on the action or the praxis or the practice without the reflection, then what you have, and he uses this word in a little bit of a pejorative sense, but what you have is activism that doesn't have the thought and the direction and the purpose and the meat behind it to go with it. And I want to come back to that a little bit today. We did some of our values last week in the midst of this, but I want to draw from bell hooks on Freire. So she was, I think she would say that Freire's work truly transformed the way that she saw herself, but also the way that she saw teaching and learning. And in doing so, her work has this meat to it. I don't even eat meat, but I can't avoid the analogy here. But it has this meat to it where the world requires this scholarship, this academic, this thinking, this study, this ability to dig out and to question and to dig deeper. And then with that comes a place of practice, a place of action, a place of work. And the two combine to transform the world around them. And one thing that we've struggled with when we say that we need to practice the word or practice something is that we come up with a specific thing that activism or that practice or practicing our faith looks like. So if you grew up somewhere with a big emphasis on evangelism, then it is evangelism that is the action to your faith, which is a very specific way of thinking about how our faith turns into action. Or if you grew up in a place that put more emphasis on worship or the act of being present with God, then the action might be more internal. It might be it might have a more charismatic feel to it, but the action is in the process that comes out of that. Or you may think about action when we talk about community development, or we talk about being engaged in our community, and we think about the things that we are doing, those items of serving those that live on the streets or caring for those in need as the action. But she has this interesting conversation at one point where she tells a story, bell hooks tells a story about getting together with other African-American women in scholarship and having a conversation about where their scholarship is heading and what the purpose is supposed to be. It wasn't all academics, it wasn't all scholars. And the close of that, someone stood up and said, I don't even know why we're having this conversation. We just talk about it, but what good is talk doing? And her response and her gut reaction was, wait a second, the dialogue is part of the action. The dialogue lends itself to new ways of thought about what practice looks like or what scholarship looks like in this particular realm. And in a world which she identifies consistently, in a world where she is often the only Black woman in the room, the statement, the ability to bring these women together and create a dialogue and talk about the way that their work and scholarship affects their practice was very meaningful to her and groundbreaking, because it doesn't happen because it usually happens in the place of academic world, which is disproportionately white and disproportionately male. And so I share that story to say that there are things that we do that we don't necessarily see as the action, and there are actions that we take that we haven't necessarily reflected on the purpose and the value that we want to take with them. So on our wall in the hallway and on our website, we have these set of values. And we attempt to create worship, to create our actions in the world, to create our children's ministry, to create our events that we do, that we put money into. We attempt to take those values and say, here is our driving force. Here is our banner that we're going to work at moving forward in the world. And we talked about last week, we talked about journey. And we talked about, there's a whole different group here anyway, doesn't matter. Subversion, yeah. Because we spent a lot of time throughout this series looking at seeking reversals as part of the educational journey, which is part of subversion, and not usually on a church wall of values, for what it's worth. And then we did a little bit on restore, but that's the one I want to focus on. So we have remaining there is restore and love and include. And all of the values work together because they inform one another and they one leads into the other and then back again. And so they kind of weave in and out. It's really hard to say that there's an order or that there's a hierarchy involved because they all work in tandem. But restore has this special place in it, and I want to use the word transform in place this morning. Because we talk about restoration, we talk about restoring humanity to its purpose, restoring the earth to its beauty and the care of it, restoring our communities that are often broken, or families or individuals that are often broken. And we read through the story of Jesus, who literally, not figuratively, but literally moves from individual to individual, restoring them to their community, restoring brokenness in the world around them, bringing together people that don't belong together, even in the place of the disciples, which Jim so beautifully brought as a message one week, bringing a really random group of disciples that should not fit together or work together, but learned with and followed and brought out of that place something quite beautiful. The place of restoration in this journey of both education, but also in our faith, is incredibly important. And we often think about, I don't know, maybe you don't. Maybe I won't put words in your mouth. I often think about, even as long as I've been apart, as much as I've worked to understand or to learn this out of me, I think about church as coming and doing church. But coming and doing church with those values on our walls means that everything that we do is leading toward a place of restoration in the world around us. A couple of days ago, I was hanging out with some friends and had someone I didn't know that was present as well. And they wanted to talk about the church. And I forget the exact question, but the question was like, what do you get out of it or something? What drives you in the church community that you're in? And I thought about, so we do a lot of great action. We do a lot of great stuff. We have in the past, and I anticipate that we will in the future, things that I think are life-changing. But I was able to say, what drives me here is that we offer a community that welcomes those who enter. People who have been outcast elsewhere, people who have been hurt by the church or their families, people who have been rejected in the world of religion and God are welcome here, are loved here, are members of the community, and offering that to others that come. I've sat in coffee shops, I've sat on the stage here having conversations with those of us here that aren't welcome elsewhere for one reason or another, and it's not all the same. But if that wasn't the story of Jesus bringing restoration to the community, then I don't know how else to read it. And what Bell Hooks and what Paulo Freire and what Mary Elizabeth Moore are constantly driving at is this way of seeing the world in which we are disrupting the social, political structures that are supposed to be in place, the status quo, the systems of the world around us, including the church itself. So while I think about, for right or wrong, church as a thing that we come and do, it is this place of community that we create together that is so special and so unique, and is in part the action to the reflection that we've done, that we do in conversation, in community, as part of our relationship process. We constantly are reflecting on the community that we are and the community that we intend to be, and the restoration principles of bringing transformation to both the church but also to each other in that process is phenomenal. And I think, unfortunately, something quite unique. Not that we're the only. I think unique would actually imply that we're the only, but that's not what I mean. I want to read a quick quote from her as we think of this. If you didn't catch the word inclusion in that story that we just told, that, just reinsert it and go back and hear it again. Sorry, I've got too many bookmarks here. So it's an interview style, and she's being asked about Paulo Freire as his work relates to a feminist critique. So there is significant problems with his treatment of women and his work in relation to women. And she's attempting the question is, so you see no contradiction in your valuing of Freire's work and your commitment to feminist scholarship. She says, it is feminist thinking that empowers me to engage in a constructive critique of Freire's work, which I needed as a younger reader of his work. I did not passively absorb the worldview presented. And yet there are many other standpoints from which I approach his work that enabled me to experience its value, that make it possible for that work to touch me at the very core of my being. In talking with academic feminists, usually white women who feel they must either dismiss or devalue the work of Freire because of sexism, I see clearly how our different responses are shaped by the standpoint that we bring to the work. I came to Freire thirsty, dying of thirst, in that way that the colonized, marginalized subject who is still unsure of how to break the hold of the status quo, who longs for change, is needy, is thirsty. And I found in his work a way to quench that thirst. She goes on to quote him as he responds to feminist critiques. And this is the piece that I would like to get us thinking about. We often think that we need to be somewhere specific or somebody specific to take part in the transformation of the world. But his statement in his response and her willingness to look not past, but through the sexism in his work is to see that each of us have as our duty, as our role and purpose to work for and to seek out ways in which we can transform the world. And her statement is, sometimes that falters. And his statement is, essentially, I fail at times, but it's still part of my role and commitment to the world and to society that I live in to make efforts to do the transformational work. And I want to bring this to that place of inclusion and restoration in our value set, to say that we're not always going to be the person or the people that we need to be to do something specific. And we may or may not do it perfectly, and we may fail in the process. And we have a community gathered here that can support us through that, encourage us to do better, find ways that we can continue to transform and to affect the world in positive ways, to take reflection and praxis and pull them together in the work that we do. Due to some events in history at Fellowship of the Flight, we, every single session, whether it's 2 of us or 15 of us, we have a little precursor, a preamble to what we're doing. We say, okay, we're here to dialogue. And we say, and that means that we're not in a debate. And we're not trying to prove our points, and we're not trying to tear down someone else's point, but we are in a collaborative effort to do this work and to find this transformational insight or growth together that happens in a collaborative way. And part of that, a big piece of that, is approaching that conversation, that dialogue, with humility. And I think the same is true, and we could just put this preamble right here in our conversation about transformation and restoration as we say, it's not a solo event, and if we approach with a bit of humility, both in how we see others work and how we approach our own, we find ourselves in a better, healthier place as a community. That interview, she has this moment to really rip him to shreds. She has all of the academic work, all of the study, all of the knowledge, and in some regards, the academic world really places value when you're able to offer critique of someone else that is a searing critique, if you will. And she's given basically a softball question. How do you deal with sexism in this person's work? And she says, yes, it's there. Yes, we can't overlook it. Yes, we critique it. But yes, there is all of this fruit that comes out of this when we're engaging his work honestly and openly. Even with his faults, there is value and there is place, and we can't dismiss the whole thing. She says it like this, actually. She says, in talking about being thirsty, you can drink the water, and when you are thirsty, you will drink the water with a little bit of dirt in it. Is how she put it. I'm not sure exactly it is what it is. And then, which I think is a testament to the way that she teaches, and a testament to the way that we've been talking about learning, and a testament to the way of education as sacrament and the fullness of seeing life. She says, and we're in a society where we don't often drink the tap water because we find it not clean enough, and we go and get bottled water. To say there is privilege in the way even that we see our water and drink our water. There is power systems and structure. And then this is before this time, but we could then divert back to Flint and have that conversation. Never mind. We won't do that right now. We will close is what we will do, because we have done plenty. So with our values, I just want to restate the goal, the purpose is for us to attempt to embody those. And the idea is that they come out of the work of Jesus in every step of the way. He is working to include, to restore, to offer love, to bring about the journey of an individual and allow them to be present in that and to continue that, and to subvert the systems of power, to seek the reversals in the world around him. Let's close with a prayer and go rescue Darren from all the kids in the one class today. God, we are so thankful to be present with you and with each other. We know that this community, this church, this family serves many different purposes for each of us. We ask that one of those be a place of reflection and action, a place where we are able to approach one another, to learn from one another, to engage one another with humility, with grace, with the challenge of life and the challenge of being a community of liberation in both faith and in the way of transforming the world around us. We pray all of this in your Son's name. Amen.
Thanks for listening to this sermon podcast from Open Door Church. Our intro and outro music was created by Lee Rosevear and is used under a Creative Commons by attribution license. Have a great week. Ask the hard questions and explore God's love. Everyone is always welcome to join the journey with us at Open Door. Learn more at opendoorfamily.ca. That's opendoorfamily.ca.